The month. This is September, right? Yeah, this is September. To be precise, third. Or is it third or fourth? Anyways, we're in the month of September.
The month of Bababa. What was
Ah,
that
God,
Bababa? What was
it's the
Bababa?
bar October.
It's nothing like Bababa anyway.
Okay, let's even leave that one. But in the month of August, it just happened that the my childhood memories came flooding. Well, something might have precipitated it anyway, but I won't go into what precipitated it. I just people I grew up with, their memories, especially in church. I I grew up practically in church. I used to I used to like going to church.
Me too now, but your own church was a village church.
Hi, Jesus, please.
Okay, don't worry, don't worry.
Anybody hearing that from my church, please. You know that I didn't grow up in a village church. Just leave that. People we grew
I
up
used to go
together
to
in
church
church.
every day too.
There was I used to go to church practically every day.
Okay, to do what?
That was where I learned to the Bible, became a good girl that you saw me and then you married me. Good girl. I was taught the word of God, and of course, I'm the last child. It was an escape, also an escape route for me because I met with my colleagues, my friends, and it was fun time. It was fun. So the thought of my childhood came rushing, and the thought of one of them particularly, whom I grew up with, a dear friend, a guy. I don't think. Do you know him? One of them particularly, whom I grew up
How
with.
will I know?
I remember I in the month of August, his thought just came to my mind. We were quite close
What
at some
about him? Are
point.
you even said? How would I know? Okay, was that the only friend you had?
No, it was, of course, it wasn't the only
Yeah,
friend
so what was now
I had,
particular?
but there was something special about him. I won't go into that. So it particularly
So
was
how?
close. We were close at some point, but he was HBSS. I'm using was now because he's late now. Sadly, he's late. So his thoughts came to my mind, and I felt very sad that particular day. I felt very sad. I went through his pictures, and I was looking at his picture, and then how we grew up together. The thoughts came back to mind, and a
Yes,
promising,
I think I know the person you are talking about.
okay,
Yes,
a
I know him.
promising, a promising individual, and God bless his soul. God bless his family. Um, for every one of us that we grew up together, God bless us all. So it's not anything about World Sickle Cell Days, World Sickle Cell Anemia Day, or anything, but I just feel that
But
we should just have a discussion around it. Now, for my observation, I've noticed that it's it's something that is very that takes the life well
the
with
thing about
advances in medical practice now.
no, see the thing about
Okay.
EBSS is that it's been like a sequence, right?
Okay.
Of how it used to happen in those days, in the past, probably around the time my own parents got married, for example. I don't think there was so much information about HBSS, you should know your genotype before getting married. You should avoid an AS, getting married to AS or AC or something like that. So, I mean, at that time, you just get married, nobody, whatever happens after, you bear it. But in the past, I like over 10 years, what am I saying? Almost 20 years, there has been that awareness. People have known, but we are now in the stage where people are aware, but they will find one reason or the other to say, don't worry. I remember those times when we were in school, when we had, of course, I was still just a young doctor in training. They will say, don't worry, if your faith can carry it. And that's very vague. What do you mean by if your faith can carry what?
At the end, so for at that time, people probably don't even want to know what it involves. They just want to get into it and then face
Yeah,
whatever
face
consequence.
exactly.
But there are a subset of people right now, especially now that they are well informed, they have all the information, but they still want to go ahead.
Yeah, so most times I think where I may be wrong, but most times people that want to go ahead actually don't have all the information. You may think you have all the information, but you don't have all the information. You
Or
probably
you
have
have not thought about everything that can arise from, or every detail of this
when
of
I say
different scenario.
when I say have all the information, it means you may have information that is favorable to you.
Okay.
For example, you may see somebody who is HBSS at age 50.
Yes, that has happened before. I remember doing tutelage at a particular hospital at Ota, Ogun State.
Yes.
And I met a man
Yes.
that been diagnosed of HBSS for the first time at 50 years of age.
50 years.
50 years. I'm not exactly 50, about 50, about 50 years. And that was the very first time. And it was just because he was having this pain all over, this pain, he was really sick. And it was just one of those things. Let's just do his genotype. He didn't know his genotype. And we did it, and it came out to be.
Yes.
It was crazy.
And so the thing is, you may find somebody like that, or some other examples of people who apparently are normal. I mean, they look completely fine, but they are HBSS. So you use that person as an example of why you can also have an HBSS.
Yeah.
Forgetting that the fact that that person is like that doesn't mean you are going to be like that.
No, I don't think those who still want to go ahead to marry are thinking of having children who have HBSS or HBSC. By the way, the homozygous form, which is HBSS, is the sickle cell anemia. Other forms are sickle cell diseases. Diseases. Okay. So I don't think they really, in their mind, want to have a child that would come out to be HBSS or HBSC or whatever. Somewhere at the back of their mind, they're feeling, oh, God, nature, or whatever it is, will make them not to have a child that will have.
I agree, because, which is why I went into that sequence. So, in the days of the unknown, right, that would be acceptable. I mean, even my parents were ASAS. See the number of children that we. So, in those days, you would have people who get married ASAS. Of course, there were those abikuzo that people would just die and they will not know a reason for the death. But in those days, you could just take, your mind won't even be on it that, oh, I'm going to give birth to SS, because there was no awareness. But in today's age, right, you can't just ignore it and feel that, don't worry now, when we get, because if you ignore it when you are getting married, once you get married, it will dawn on you that this thing I did. In fact, when it's time for you to have a baby, you will become afraid. It's natural.
Okay, but there are advances in medical care. They can decide that, oh, there are various options available now that you can. And we are not even talking about treatment for those who have HBSS. We are talking about in the prevention of HBSS, having a child, not having a child that has HBSS. There are different routes, medical routes that you can take to ensure that doesn't
I remember
happen.
that one.
So you can do genetic testing.
Yes.
After conception has taken place, you can even decide that, oh, okay, you want to have an IVF. They do a genetic testing, sequencing. Everything is programmed before the implants.
Exactly.
And then you have a child that doesn't have, so everything is predetermined.
So that actually makes sense. What you said makes sense, because I mean, if you can predetermine that, oh, this child is not going to be HBSS, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. It overcomes a lot of problems. So really, you can. But how many people have thought about that before getting married? And why I say that is, you are getting married. People are hoping that, culturally, they'll be hoping that within a year they want to see this person pregnant. Have you thought about the financial costs of IVF?
Correct. And this procedure is not just IVF. It's not the regular.
It's not
IVF.
regular IVF.
It's not the regular IVF. this particular one that you will predetermine what
Yes.
you are putting
Yes.
together is far
More
more
expensive.
expensive than
So
the
you must
regular
have money.
IVF. Yeah, money has
And
to
it
be
may
there.
still fail.
Yes, it may still fail. And IVF is
Of course, there are risks
risks
yeah.
for the risk without talking about the risk and all that. So all those information, this information, all these things that we're talking about likely must be known. So pre-concept, I mean
preconception,
pre-conception,
counseling
and all that for such individuals who are still, let's say they are still insisting on getting married, AS,
yeah,
SSAS,
yes,
who are still saying that they want to get married, must know all these things. That, oh, okay, you can predetermine. There's option for saying that, okay, I'm not going to get married. I mean, I'm not going to have children. I can adopt. We're not going to have children. Okay, and you are doing family planning, and it must not fail.
Exactly. So that's why I said have all the information. So this thing we are talking about now would be part of the information. It won't just be that we have seen people that live with HBSS and they are fine. No, that's not the point. Because it's not about you, it's about the child. It's partly about you too, I know, because
I've seen families scatter.
Yes.
Because of this. So it's not, it's all encompassing. But at the end, it's still more on that child, because when you see those children have the pains and everything, it's at the end of the day, it boils down to that child. But of course, it had effect. We in family medicine, we say we believe in the systemic theory. An individual doesn't just exist in just out there. You affect other people affect you. So it's not just about that individual, it's about the family, it's about the society, it's about the workplace. Have an HBSS who is sick in and out and all that. Work is affected, the quality of life may be affected. So it's all encompassing and it affects everybody.
So basically what we are saying is, first, let everybody be aware of what they're getting into. If you, generally as doctors, we would always advise that AS, don't get married to AS. That's what we always say.
AS,
but I know AS, AC, SS, AS,
SSAC,
SSAS, that's even worse.
But we are in an era where you might even see there might be an HBSS and you won't even know that there are people like that. There's a musician.
There's that guy that you said has been having EBT.
Correct. Now, EBT, exchange blood transfusion. We're not even going into modern day treatments available for.
And so, people, what we are basically saying is that there are different levels of prevention, as we all know. And there are different levels, so that if you're already SS, you already have a child that is SS. We have to manage it now. So we are not going to say you won't come to the hospital and then they will say, it's HBSS, go and die.
No.
There are things that will
advances in medical care that will improve quality of life, that will prevent you having to get ill all the time, that can prolong life. We have HBSS having children, getting pregnant successfully, having children. But that is someone who is already. But we are talking about prevention now. HBSS, sickle cell anemia, sickle cell disorders, that I believe is something. Do you think, if I'm permitted to use the word, it can be eliminated or eradicated?
Sure.
If we take the right step.
Yes, very, very easy. I mean, you will sit down here, we blame this person, blame this one, but this one is just a simple. I've seen people that at the beginning of the relationship, they know that, this is my genotype, so we are not getting married. It's as simple as that. But we know the issues of love are not 5 and 6.
Love is not.
So it means that there must now be extensive counseling. Okay. So I was reading something that even reminds me. Somebody said it was this discussion about HBSS, and the person said, "Oh, will you marry someone with HIV?" It's possible to marry someone with HIV.
Yes.
But generally speaking, if you go out there, if you go out there now, you say
Is the
you are
stigma,
getting no, you are I'm getting to meet somebody for the first time,
yeah,
and the person says he has HIV, the person will likely run away.
okay.
You will run away. And HIV, I mean,
HIV is even easier.
easier to manage than
It's easier, far easier.
yes.
You can marry someone with HIV and not have HIV. Someone
Yes.
can have HIV and not have a child
Yes.
with HIV.
Exactly.
It advances. That one is even
That
easier.
one's
That
even
one
easier,
is
and
far
it's
easier.
it's cheaper.
So it's just a stigmatization of no. That one is even
So
easier.
now it now makes me understand that if people can behave like that to HIV or maybe some other viruses, so why is it that once it comes to genotype, it begins to
Now
it's
there's the
because you
issue
don't
of
know.
faith,
Yeah.
and all that. Now I remembered a point we raised earlier that I think we need to talk about. I met a couple that AS, they got married. They have all the information, well read, well educated, and all that. And they got married. They didn't do the they didn't do IVF. They conceived naturally.
Yeah.
But at the point of conception, I think they went to do what we call coronary video sampling.
Yes.
There's a center in Lagos State where you can, a Sickle Cell Foundation,
Yes.
where you can have those they have facilities to get that done. But conception would have taken place, let's say,
Exactly.
naturally before that testing. Not
Yes.
that
Yes, I get
before
the point.
conception,
Yes.
you predetermine the genotype of that child.
Yeah.
So you take the sample, but fortunately, for that particular pregnancy, the genotype of the fetus at that point in time came out to be hemoglobin AA. Fantastic.
Okay.
Now the question would have been,
If it was SS,
if it was SS,
what
would
do?
they have done?
So
Please, what would they have done?
So that's the problem.
Now,
so because if you don't think about it
yes,
ahead of time, you get to that point and you'll be confused. It's very difficult for any woman to accept a termination of pregnancy. That's one.
Very
Accepting
difficult.
it, then you now begin to add ethical considerations into it.
Now, some people persons can say can be a medical grounds to terminate the pregnancy, medical indication to terminate the pregnancy. Now, but the issue of religious ethics will come into play.
Yes, because I mean, now what the people that will argue against it basically is very simple. If you are terminating that pregnancy on the basis of HBSS, how are you sure that
in the future that child didn't come with the anointing of long life?
Exactly, because there are some HBSS that are doing very well.
Yes.
So how can you now convince yourself that
this particular one? No.
So sometimes it's better not to be in that position. Many times we just talk because we've not seen the pains that people go. I've the number of HBSS I've seen. I've seen the ones that have very big wounds from self-injecting themselves. I've seen people that are addicted to opioids. All their muscle is like concrete because they've been injecting themselves because of pain.
The mental health challenges, and for those who for me they do, and they are very brilliant, very successful, very loving, and all that.
I remember one guy. There was this guy. I remember him when I was doing my after NYSC, and I was in Lagos for a few months. HBSC. I remember him very well because he was very wealthy. He was into oil and gas. I think was in his 30s. He was never ill. Never ill. Completely well. And then he just had an infection, and they kept treating, I said they had money. So meaning that money was getting all the branded antibiotics at the time. And all the antibiotics that we could name were there. He had all the cultures and all those things. But the thing was just not working until the guy died. So why should, at that point, the boy was no longer under the control of his parents, in quotes. So why should you have a child and leave him in that kind of circumstance? It's not because people cannot die from other things.
Yeah, that's what people say. That people who are not HBSS die. That is true. But
remove that one from it. Remove that one. You know,
It's just like people would naturally just say something will kill someone. Someone
no.
that's smoking, that is doing this and that. So
Aha.
someone,
So
not something
that
we,
doesn't mean you should now smoke
does
now.
it mean we should smoke? The
Doesn't
fact
mean
that anybody can
can
die,
die. Yes, because non-smokers can die from lung cancer.
Yes,
But
non-smokers. Yes,
non-smokers, yes.
that's
But that
true.
doesn't mean that doesn't now encourage you to go into smoking because you
Exactly.
can also still die from. No, so that's not the way to think about it. The way to
Yeah.
think about it is, as much as possible, prevent it first.
Yes, like
If you have made a mistake already, maybe there are some stories of people make mistakes. Maybe they go
yes,
to a
lab error.
lab error.
Yeah.
Aha, lab error. You make a mistake. You are married already.
Yes.
You now go to the
there are
next
solutions. There are solutions. There are things that can be done when if one is already in there.
Yes.
But it shouldn't be that you have all the knowledge, you have all the information, you have everything, but you still go into it. But we cannot tell people what they should do. As doctors,
only advise
yes,
now.
as doctors, we even talk about counsel. We counsel. As doctors, what we can do is to lay bare all the information, everything that you need to know about a particular illness or whatever it is. At the end of the day, so that you can make an informed decision. At the end of the day, this decision is going to be yours, and we live by the decisions we make.
Yeah.
We live, the consequences of the decisions we make are going to be ours at the end of the day. So this is for my friend whom I lost to sickle cell anemia, and I know that there are many people that you have heard of someone, someone who knows someone who died maybe as a result of sickle cell anemia or sickle cell disorder, or maybe morbidities from it, or the quality of life is reduced. This is for all of them, that as much as possible, let us prevent sickle cell anemia. Prevent first. We know there are advances in medical care that we can, but you need to arm yourself with every information, all the information, the different scenario before you go into it, so that it won't be at the end of the day that I'm not aware, I didn't know that this kind of scenario or circumstance can arise, and all that. And I pray for those who already have sickle cell anemia or disease or whatever, they're we're also advocating for them that things that can improve the quality of their lives, it's more accessible, readily accessible, apart from self-care practices and them going to see their doctors, the multidisciplinary approach to their care, from the family physicians to the hematologists, pediatricians, to even to the general surgeons, or everybody involved, blood bank, things like that, blood donation and all. So that everyone is supposed to be able to have access to care for those who already living with sickle cell anemia or disease. So this to round off our discussion,
random discussion,
our random discussion about sickle cell.
Yes. So can
if you have any questions or comments, you can put in the comment section, and we will trash them if you need some clarification, because it's just a random discussion. We are not talking anything. We didn't go into the details, the science or the pathophysiology, this and that. Just a friendly random discussion. And I have with me, this is Dr. Dami Med TV. I have with me today Dr. Elemile, who happens to be a general surgeon. I am a family physician and a lifestyle physician. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Click like, share, comment. Click on the notification bell so that you'll be alerted when we drop another video. God bless you. Till next time. Bye.